it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here today with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. Okay, so I'm picking up on a masculine energy that at some point in his past started to daydream, envision, fantasize about the kind of life that he truly wanted. And these visions, and some of these masculines were having visions, but I don't think they have an understanding of that, like whether these were like visions in their waking life or they were dreaming, but it actually was like a premonition or some kind of vision. Some of these masculines are extremely energetically inclined. I think this experience was meant to kind of teach them that they are very energetically inclined, to get them curious about, the mechanisms of what exactly was going on here behind the scenes. But regardless, I feel like these visions that this masculine was indulging in, it really was coming through the lens of the fifth house. And the fifth house is the house of joy and theater and romance and children and legacy. It's the Leo house, which is the energy of our full integrated self, our unique self, and drawing positive attention and respect and admiration to us because of our own wholeness and uniqueness in the world. And Leo also does rule over the heart space. And I really do feel like these visions conjured up some kind of a feeling. It really was coming from his heart space and deeply connected to his heart space. Everything that he was building and indulging in these fantasies was really coming from that heart space. It was very mutual, and it was going back and forth, right? So it was the romance he envisioned himself having. He was very in love with his partner. His partner was very in love with him. There was no secrets between the two of them. It was a genuine appreciation for that whole integrated, unique self in both directions. Everything was just so happy and coming from the heart space. And the thing was, these visions were coming from such a pure place within him. Such a pure impulse is what I'm hearing in his heart space. And I literally am hearing like a singing bowl and a very pure, very high note kind of being sent out into the universe, that I feel like he really did send for you. He really did end up manifesting this potentiality in his reality. And I feel like he kind of realized that on some level when you showed up in his life, because I do think that he manifested you, and I feel like you were a part of this manifestation process. And I think there was an instant recognition in whatever way about you being that partner that he wished for and that he had envisioned. Because some of these masculines, like I said, they were actually having visions and they didn't understand that that's what was going on. So some of them could have actually seen you or like smelled you in a certain way. They had a very visceral contact with you in that energetic realm, and they instantly recognized you as that. And it probably really threw them for a loop where they were like, that's that person. I've literally seen that person in my mind, and only in my mind. Like, it's meant to kind of wake this masculine up to the energetic sides of life. I think some of these men are deeply capable on an energetic level. They just don't really have an understanding of that. And it's sort of like cut them off from their power in the world, and spirit's trying to get them to uncover this and like get them online with this. But even if this man didn't see you in a vision, and if this is a woman, I'm sorry, like make this fit for whatever your situation. This is the way it's coming through to me. But even if he didn't see you in a vision, I still think there was this recognition that you were that person, because you did have like those specific traits or qualities, or the way that he felt around you. Again, like in his heart space, it was exactly what he felt in the visions. And it really did something here to this masculine. I feel like it placed him into, I just heard healing crisis. It did pitch him into some kind of crisis. But it's a very scorpionic energy that was brought up. And I feel like you maybe didn't understand or realize that he was in such a strong, like maybe deep emotional place, or even like emotionally turbulent, because Scorpio is the sign of deep emotions. It's also the sign of secrets, betrayal, what's hidden. It's the sign of fears and trauma. And so basically there's a lot of shadow stuff that's going on here for this masculine, because now, like with your presence entering his life, it basically put him at this crossroads. But this is a very scorpionic crossroads. It's all the things I just mentioned, deep emotions. And Scorpio, it's meant to do this. It's meant to kind of bring all these things to the surface, because this is a very, it's a healing crisis. There's sort of a question on like, which way are you going to go? Like which, not just in terms of what path do you want to pursue, but what are we going to do with all this scorpionic content that just like kind of, came up to the surface? It just kind of got loosened here in this experience. Now, Scorpio for me is also the sign of a soul that is pulled in two directions. It's always the soul split in two, but not in some kind of like apathetic, I don't really care about this kind of way. I could go either way. No, it's that word ambivalent that's really coming through. And to be ambivalent is to be pulled in two opposite directions with the same intensity and fervor. And that was what was going on for this masculine, because at the time that he was envisioning and fantasizing about the kind of life that he hoped that he could have for himself, and he really did think, there's no harm in me fantasizing about this nobody is going to know. It's just me, you know. It almost feels like maybe he wasn't supposed to be fantasizing about this, or what, he wasn't supposed to be wanting this. But when he was doing that, he was living a very different kind of life. And I'm picturing the Seven of Wands. So he had like some kind of stance, and it does feel like a very defensive stance, like around himself. And I'm hearing like extreme non-monogamy. Like maybe he just wanted to be single. He just wanted to be alone. Like he was very defensive here of that lifestyle or of his outlook. He wanted to maybe keep people away from him, or not close to him, at least like on an intimate level. But then again, he met you, and then all of a sudden, maybe he did want to get close to somebody. Maybe he did actually want to build, again, everything I just mentioned, the romance, the family, the children, the self-expression, the legacy, all of it. So now he's like put in this like really strong crossroads, and it started to do funny things to him. And again, this may have all been hidden from you, because unbeknownst to you, you were just kind of manifested in this space, and you didn't realize there was this whole other thing like going on here in the background. But this put him straight in the middle of his shadow. Now he has an interesting relationship with his shadow, because on the one hand, I feel like this is a man who is very conscious of his shadow. Like he understands that he has these certain shadow traits. He doesn't understand where they come from. He doesn't understand what they actually are, but he's not in denial about having them. And I think for most of these men, this is like maybe some kind of an addiction. Definitely this strong non-monogamous lifestyle. I am hearing like the roster, the stable. And, you know, both men and women both like talk about their rosters and their stables now. But I feel like he had a lot of options. And again, that was a way that he wasn't, you know, committing in his heart to anybody. But he is aware that he has these kind of shadow traits. And he is aware that he needs to keep, that they are hidden, and that they're hidden for good reason. But that's really where the extent of that consciousness of his shadow traits stops, because he's not doing shadow work, basically. He doesn't get curious about those shadow traits. He doesn't get curious about where they come from or why they're there, which would kind of unlock this processing of this space, this kind of, I'm hearing like clearing up of this space, and that the integrating of the shadow into like the whole self, and leading towards self-love and self-appreciation. And the reason he doesn't get curious about it is because this is a man who back in his childhood, he received some kind of strong messaging that he wasn't desirable, or he was not going to be good enough, or it's very fixed mindset, right? Like you were born this way and you're always going to be this, and then you're going to die this way. And there's just no use of, I just heard hopeless, like it pushed him towards some kind of like hopelessness. Somehow he got the message that because of something here about his circumstances, or even something that he thinks is his personality, because that's a big thing here, or that it's this unmovable fixture within him because it's who he is. It's not actually who he is, but he doesn't understand that. So because of that he's never going to be able to pursue the things that he wants in his life directly. He somehow got in that message, that like, okay, well, going after the career you want and being seen in the world, or going after this kind of life in this kind of place, that's for other people, not like us. And you're never going to be able to do that. But this does not change the fact that this is a person, this is a human being, and human beings have a shared set of needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I feel like, outlines these pretty well. He has his safety, security needs, his love and belonging needs. He wants to self-actualize. He wants to be seen as a unique person. He wants to be respected and admired for the things he does and the person that he is. He still has those needs. But all this perspective has done for him is just limit the healthy routes that he could be taking in order to pursue getting these underlying needs met in a better way, a way that would not lead to him creating this secret life, this secret shadow self that is heavily karmic, and it's getting him involved in the wrong scenes, around the wrong people, for the wrong reasons. But he doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand that basically all these things that he's calling his shadow traits, addiction, the non-monogamy, all of that, it's a way that he's meeting these needs, because I do think he's using these things to give him a sense of love and belonging, so he could go down to the bar and nobody's judging him there, so his brain can relax more, and he doesn't feel like he's not good enough, so that's meeting a need for him. It's a negative coping skill. It's creating a lot of negative problems, and that will just continue as his life goes on, right? And the same thing with being able to pull a lot of women. That's how he's building his self-esteem in lieu of building his self-esteem around being a unique person, getting that certification in the area that he wants, making sure he can make a certain amount per year in an above board manner. Like, this is a way that he's meeting his needs, but he thinks this is his personality. He thinks this is just this immovable quality. It feels immovable because the needs are immovable. Does that make sense? So it's meant to kind of jolt him in this kind of shadow experience. But I feel like instead of doing that, this man had a panic and he was like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And so this caused him to behave badly because he has all these like negative traits that he's been practicing, right? And these negative people that he's been around. And I'm not trying to give him an excuse or like excuse this bad behavior. I feel like this masculine treated you very badly. And that's another thing that's coming through in this message, is that this is a man who is more lucid around all of this. It's hopeless and he doesn't know another way to be. And he is sorry, but he, like I said, he just feels like he doesn't know another way to be. So this is a man who knows that they treated you unfairly in the past. They know that. And they know that because they treated you unfairly, they basically gave you no other path except for to walk away from them. Even though there potentially was a lot of potential, here that you felt, or there's a lot of emotions like built up between the two of you, you still had to walk away because you were not being treated fairly and there was something that you deserved to know. I feel like this man owed you a conversation, and not just owed you a conversation, like a healthy, forthright, equal give and take conversation, but they needed to initiate it because, again, they treated you unfairly. This masculine knows this. They do know that. So he's got all this going on in the background. And by the way, he had this going on in the background before you even entered the scene, because this is just his modus operandi. This is a man with just certain lifestyle, certain ways of living his life and meeting his human needs. It's just that he has these unhealthy ways of meeting his needs for all the reasons I've just described. It's not good for him. It's not good for the other people that are involved, but he hasn't pulled apart that the needs are what is immovable in this situation. That's why he feels like he can't give up the coping mechanisms, but he thinks these negative coping mechanisms are him and are his personality. He could give these up if he understands that he has these needs, and he needs to figure out how to meet these needs in a healthier way, right? So that's what's going on here, and this is what you've illuminated, and that has kind of pitched him into a crisis, because when you enter the scene, now all of a sudden he has these very deep feelings for you. Again, I don't think those are being communicated to you. He is trying to hide those because it's strategic. This is a man who's trying to be strategic about this crossroads moment. And I do think that's allowed, like from Spirit's end, he's allowed to be a bit strategic here because he is making a major turn in his life. And there's a lot of understanding around that on a spiritual level. And I do feel like he's given a runway. And I do feel like he's given some leniency here to get himself in order and to explore this, because you entering his life, you were a light going off in this shadow space. And it was meant to pitch him into a crisis, this kind of like healing crisis energy. But it is causing him to behave in some ways that are strange, and it's causing maybe this relationship not to unfold the way that you would kind of expect, because I think even if this is being successfully hidden from you for a time, because it won't always be, and for some of you that's what happened here, then I still think that you would be picking up on the fact that, maybe things are being hidden from you, or there is something that's not adding up about this guy, or the way that your relationship is progressing. Because I'm seeing the way that this is, okay, so when you enter the scene, it's like he's at this crossroads and he's like, I'm not ready, right? This isn't the best time. But Spirit's saying, rise and shine, honey. This is like divine intervention in his life. Like, the time is now. We're dealing with this now, sort of thing. So I think the way that this unfolded is I'm seeing him, now this is a metaphor, okay? I'm seeing this masculine almost like in the position of like a farmer, and I'm seeing you at shown here as a you, like a EWE, a female sheep. Like you're this beautiful, big, fluffy sheep. And I'm seeing this masculine try to put a rope around your neck and lead you into his pasture and lead you into his barn and try to put you in a stall. Stall. That word stall is really sticking out to me. Now remember, I think that this is a man with a stable, as they call it, with a roster. And men and women, that's like a colloquial term that they use now for like, these are people who, they're non-committal. They have certain people that they engage with, but it's on that very non-committal, schmegdual kind of energy. So this, again, I think this man has some kind of roster and he's trying to put you in a stall. So, and he's trying to pull you in there. And I can see you not wanting to go in there. Like you're really not following the leader here. And that could be different because he might be used to being able to, get his sheeps in whatever stall he wants them in. Now the stall, I just want to unpack this metaphor because the stall that I'm seeing has like 3 floor to ceiling walls. And then there's another, there's the other side of it. That's the gate, that he can put you in and then he's going to lock the gate and open the gate. So he's trying to get you in this, it's compartmentalization. That's what I'm describing. The stable and the compartments of the stable and trying to get you into a compartment. That's what he's trying to do. A compartment where you can't see the 3 like full walls and there's the big gate that you really can't see too much around, but he wants almost for you to get used to him coming to pull you out of the gate when he deems that it's safe and that there's nothing else around that you could see, and it's your time to be out of the stall and then to put you away in the stall. So again, you're being treated very unfairly and he wants to kind of maneuver you into the life that he did have before until he can figure out what to do. And I think he's looking to see, okay, he's trying to maintain control. That's what this is. He's trying to maintain control in this situation. But again, you are being manhandled in this metaphor that I'm seeing, and you're also being like not treated fairly. You're not being brought into the loop. Things are being hidden from you, and you're being disrespected. And that's the karma between the two of you. And let's talk about that here for a second, because there is karma between the two of you that needs to be worked out, but it all stems from the karmas that he's working out here for himself. And remember how I was saying that like the vision that he had that ultimately brought you into the picture, that was all through the lens of Leo. And I'm seeing in my mind the 6 of Wands in the tarot, which is the victory card. And for me, that is Saturn in Leo energy, because Saturn always gives the best gifts, right? So it's like when you work through your karmas, you have this kind of like victory. It puts you on like the road to success. This is what this man wants with you. But in order for him to be able to achieve that, and in order for him to do it in the way that Spirit is saying he needs to, in order to clear the karma between the two of you, he first needs to clear the karma with himself. So this is a soul that when they incarnated into this lifetime for themselves, they have this goal to work out the karma in that Leonine realm. They need to learn how Leo is the whole integrated self. So they need to learn how to be their full self and to love and respect their full self and to present themselves in that whole integrated way. I'm hearing this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, right? Regardless of what you say or you say, I'm gonna love myself and this is who I am and I'm gonna present myself in an honest way to the world. They need to figure out how to do that, which is going to lead to like their healthy self-expression, that healthy romance that they want, the healthy family that they want, and the healthy legacy that they want. They need to learn how to build that the right way, because their karmas, the way that they have been doing it, that they need to revisit and adjust, is they bring that Saturnian energy to the Leo energy, but it's very controlling. They just get very controlling and compartmentalizing, about the parts of themselves that they show to who, when, where, and what, in order to try to piecemeal together the legacy, romance, family that they want. So it's compartmentalization, I feel like. And that always starts in the psyche because we like to shove things down into the shadow, right? And it's everything that I've already been saying about the needs versus all of it. He needs to work that out here within himself. When he does that, that is the key to him clearing up the karma with you, because then he can bring his full self and not this weird fractured liar manipulator that he thinks is himself and that he's working so hard to protect, this false sense of self, in order to try to manufacture the outcome that he wants with you, that it's creating problems. It's creating you being treated unfairly and not being respected in the situation, which is causing you to break away from it. Leaves you no other choice but to move away from this situation, because you got drawn in here on the promise of, we had a heart connection, didn't we? I'm hearing from Aladdin, the genie, where he's like, did you wake me up? Did you bring me here? And all of a sudden you're walking out on me? I don't think so. You're getting your wish, so sit down. That's you. It's like, did you bring me here to break my heart, keep all these secrets from me, to cheat on me with all these other yous? And there's something here about that, like you being like a female sheep and it sounding like you, like I'm talking about you. It's like this person could have tried to like, again, piece together like another you. I think this person, if this messes up permanently, it's like they're always going to be finding pieces of you. They're going to try to piece you together in 1,000 other people, you know, because this habit that this person has, they just sort of, I'm seeing like a really messy collage that this person's kind of like, they're trying to build, oh my gosh, I'm seeing like a family portrait here, but I'm seeing it's like coming from like magazines and stuff, and like, you know, this flower got pasted from Home and Gardens and this face, and you know, it's like, that's the karma that he needs to work out. And once he can work that out within himself, that naturally affects the karma with you, because I'm seeing that Leo energy, right? That the karma that they're working out, and I'm seeing that Saturnian blockage go up to the throat chakra, because I do feel that there's something here that this masculine did not communicate when they needed to communicate it. They didn't come clean. They didn't say sorry. They didn't own up to something here. And they didn't do that because of the fear, because of the low self-esteem. That throat chakra energy, that fifth chakra, it does rule over self-esteem. It also rules over how we make our money, like for ourselves. There could be issues here with that, but I feel like they kept something bottled in at a time when they needed to be coming clean and confessing, which would have shattered the illusion here about everything. It would have shattered all the stuff that they were keeping secret. So on an energetic level, that's actually more keeping them on a path like towards you than not. But they don't understand that because they're so controlling, and it's really ingrained in this masculine. I think they felt that if they admitted it, if they were seen fully for who they were, that you wouldn't have a conversation with them. You wouldn't hear them out. It would automatically be the end. And this is a masculine trying to control the end, and they're trying to control their transformation, which again, it just goes into the karmas that are being played out here. So instead, they just didn't give you the opportunity. So there's some kind of, again, that's the Libran karma that I'm seeing in the throat chakra here, but that's between the two of you, where I think to clear up the karma with you, again, it starts with this masculine clearing up his own karma, which will give them the ability to do the things they need to do for you, which I feel like this masculine owes you a conversation. Not only does he owe you a conversation, he owes you a Libran conversation, a fair, balanced, diplomatic conversation, where he's bringing his full self to the table, because Libra always has two Aries individuals on either side, two whole individuals that are presenting themselves fully, and they know their sides of things, and they're able to have that diplomatic conversation. He owes you that kind of conversation to be able to have the skills and the respect for you to have that conversation all the way to the end. Not only that, I think he owes it to you to initiate that conversation in the right way and in the right time period where it's not causing a bunch of carnage and shit. And he owes it to you to allow you to make your choice here. This is also a masculine that there's something here where like his trauma and his upbringing leads him towards like perfectionism. Like where he was taught that unless he's perfect, and I'm hearing that song Perfect by Alanis Morissette, that unless he's perfect, he's not going to be loved. He was not going to be taken care of in difficult times. If he's seen, he has that belief deeply ingrained. And I think you are actually the person that he can have victory with. But the thing is, you are looking for honesty. You are looking for somebody. I think, understand Libran values. You understand that you can. And I'm hearing that song, Daddy, I Love Him. That came out in another reading by Taylor Swift, where it's like, I know that it seems crazy, like, but he's the one for me. I just feel it. I just know it. And somebody can make that decision if you've got another person here who is being honest and who is, sorry if you can hear my stomach growling, who is being honest and who is being forthright and who is taking accountability and who isn't trying to hide shit. That is a person where it's like, okay, maybe we can see where this goes. If they're unwilling to take that first step, you can't see where it goes. It's too much of a risk. And they're kind of determined to be a jerk. And they're determined to treat you unfairly. So this guy doesn't realize that coming clean is kind of like sucking the poison out. And that brings me to the final segment of this reading, okay? Because I'm also seeing another metaphor here, and it does have to do with like poison, venom, and antidote. Like that energy is very much present here. And there is something very spiritual going on here with this, because I feel like this masculine, again, they have a certain way of going about doing things. And this metaphor might be a little bit gross, and I do apologize, okay? But it's different than the healthy way, and it's different than the way you approach things. Now, when I was little, like a very teeny tiny human, I got bit by this like extremely poisonous spider that's like local to my area. I was on the news and everything for it. And you can die, and especially if you're a kid, you can die from it. It was like a very harrowing experience. But like as humans, we eat our food in our mouth, right? Like you chew it down and then it goes to your stomach where there's chemicals and stuff that like start to break down that food, right? In order for it to be absorbed into your body. Well, this spider does it the exact opposite way. to where when it bites, it puts some venom into the skin that causes the digestion process to happen before it starts chewing on it. So it like kind of starts to break it down, ready to die until it's ready to eat it. And then it can eat it like slowly over time. Sorry if this is gross. This is just the way that I'm getting. So I think you may have felt bitten here by this masculine. And it goes back to what I was saying, him trying to like pull you into that stall. It's like he was keeping you for later, or he was softening you up, or he was trying to get you used to a certain treatment, right? So that he could come digest you later, you know? And of course you're going to feel poisoned and bitten and disrespected by that, right? But I feel like whenever he did that to you, you kind of were like the antidote to him. It's almost like biting you also transferred some antidote. It wasn't a venom, it was an antidote. But this masculine may have felt bitten by you because you didn't do what all the other sheeps did. And they might have felt like that was some kind of slight. Sorry. The hubris. You had, how dare you defend yourself and demand equal treatment? God, you're such a, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But yeah, he might have felt that way. He might have thought that you had like bitten him, but you were the antidote. And I think you lit up something here. You put something in his system for him that was going to work on him. And it was softening him up for spirit to digest him. It's not a perfect metaphor, okay? For spirit to digest him. And masticate him and then poop him out anew. So I feel like this masculine needed to go through like a certain experience, but if they weren't going to go on the journey with you, then they need to go through this experience with you in order to like have this experience. And it was a very like antidote experience where it's like you're a human and you need to be chewing things in your mouth before you digest them. You know, because you can really only eat one thing at a time. And I feel like this masculine wants to put a certain poison. Yeah, there's something that's, I don't know, that might mean something to you. But yeah, there's foresight here and there's strategy and I'm going to come back for this later. And there's a real hubris in his energy because he really does think that he's the end all be all and that he's very talented and that he can, keep you separate from all these other people. And then he's going to see how things go with you. And if he does ruin it, it's betrayal and trauma and carnage. Some of these masculines, though, may have strategically brought out one of the other sheeps in their stable in order to control you, because they feel a lot of fear and they feel inadequate. And so they may have tried to put the fear in you that maybe you were going to lose this person. Again, that's part of getting you into the stall, some kind of psychological manipulation. They're trying to get you used to a certain treatment. I don't like that. Yeah. And I feel like you wouldn't like that. And it is shit. And he ain't shit for doing it if that's what he did. And he needs to start holding himself accountable. And he needs to start pulling apart the fact that he has needs the same as everybody. But not everybody goes about meeting their needs in this like heinous way that is just so unempathetic. And he needs to understand that that's not him. All these like unhealthy coping skills, his addictions, this strong stance on non-monogamy, that's not him. And it's not actually what he wants in his heart. He just has been trained, or it's been ingrained in him that he can't expect anything else. So I really feel like this masculine wishes that he had the nerve to strike up this conversation with you. I think he's being held off because, remember, that's what he owes you, to rebalance the karma. I think he really wants that because he feels strong feelings for you. He does. But he has to fix himself first. That's like the key. This conversation is not going to go well. He's got to bring his whole self in and take his whole self out and put his whole self in and shake it all about, right? So I'm going to leave that there. That's what I have for you. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.